like sort of like the Matrix, but in the wrong direction.
Yeah, no, it's like we should just. I need to get this fixed so we can like tape all of this stuff and like cut in the cool screw ups rather than or just like do a stream, and those who watch it live get to see all the what the effness, and those who watch the UTube, well, yeah, that's on them. You know, it's. So we have Captain Pastel and Jordan this week. You're going to have to lead this one. I threw it in here when you said it earlier, Jordan. Are they really releasing a new version of MeeGo?
I just saw something about it on DistroWatch not 10 minutes ago. It just released today. DistroWatch says MeeGo 1.2. We are announcing the release. MeeGo core operating system provides a complete set, blah, 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 blah. Reference kernel support a variety of Atom and ARM processors. Qt mobility APIs. I see stuff about GSM, GPRS, HSPA plus network support. So it's heading more toward mobile devices as expected. Also includes the newer updated netbook UX version 1.2 with a set of core applications for netbooks, in-vehicle infotainment experience, and a tablet developer preview. So, very cool. I'm actually downloading it right now. I'm going to see what it's like if it works in a VM, because I don't have a netbook to try it on.
Yeah. You know, it'd be nice if you had a phone you could hack it onto, but I'm not sure. I don't think you're gonna have that either. I don't think you're gonna do that with your Droid. You know,
I don't think it would work on my Droid.
Probably wouldn't actually. That's
the bootloader is so locked down.
On the Droid X, why not? MeeGo.
Did they do it through running the SSH terminal server or something?
Oh really? Oh, that's a cop-out.
Because they've been putting Ubuntu on everything that way, emulated on top of Android.
Yeah, and see that's.
Wait. Okay, so is Ubuntu itself running on a different computer, and it's just all it is basically just VNC, or is it actually?
No, it's running on top of it's running a script through the shell built into the device.
But basically,
it's running on top of Android.
Basically, a minimalistic virtual machine.
Kind of a chroot. I'm not really sure.
That's running Ubuntu, and then it's basically connecting to itself.
Yeah, you use a VNC to connect to the local VNC server within Ubuntu.
Yeah.
I've seen it on a bunch of devices, I think through the XDA forums a lot of times.
Well, okay, that would be useful in like an integration setup, but that's not really running Ubuntu on the device. That's...
halfway, but not entirely, correct?
Yeah, it's... Oh, I think that's interesting. I'm surprised to see that MeeGo still has legs, because I could swear that was collecting dust on a shelf somewhere. I
thought the exact same thing. That's what they said. Well, they got a release announcement and everything.
Hey.
And they're looking at MeeGo 1.3 in October 2011, so they apparently have confidence in this. They've got a MeeGo conference coming up in about a week.
Okay then, let the competition begin. Which is always a good thing, but it's surprising.
You want me to San Francisco next week?
You know what? I elect James to go.
To go where?
To San Francisco.
Oh. Are they doing some presentation on MeeGo? I was...
Yeah.
No, I might already be going to LinuxCon, so I'm not going to ask for more than that.
Okay. Jordan, do you... Well, you said this on your channel, you know, posthumous happy day we're not allowed to say because we'll get sued.
Happy day we're not allowed to say what?
I am deathly afraid in any published content to say happy the day that starts with a B. Because, you know,
Really?
Well, the songs...
I mean, the song is copyrighted, but the words aren't.
Okay.
But either way, yes, my birthday was on Saturday, the 14th, and my wedding anniversary was actually the 15th. So we have organized that very, very well, so I don't have any trouble remembering.
Yeah. Yeah. You planned that out. That's genius right there. It's like... Honestly, we do need like a Creative Commons birthday song. Like that is so needed because it literally like you cannot. When is the
copyright coming out of it?
How many years are left? It's like early 1900s. I think mid this century it'll be available again.
Well, that's fine.
Well, yeah.
I think that will be fine saying it. As long as you don't make money, you would have to make at least some money, and then they might...
No. They restructured the terms of benefiting so that you don't have to make a damn penny. You can be liable for the $100,000 fine and the countersuit for everything you own and everything else. Just for... If we were to suddenly sit here and sing Happy What We're Not Allowed to Say, I would go bankrupt. Because they'd come after me. It's my channel. Say that again, Jordan.
You'd be surprised how many YouTubers actually get away with it. I mean, people with hundreds of thousands of subscribers do it in their daily vlogs, and nobody says a word to them.
Nobody says a word to them.
Of course, that can be said about a lot of things.
Yeah, it's one of those things until...
people talk about them smoking pot on their channels, and it's fine.
And it's honestly one of those things until somebody complains, but if you have anything in there that somebody can complain about that even has the tiniest seed of Yetia, it's just a reason to yank the content.
I think that's all that would happen at the most.
Yeah, no, I I think I'd be put into bankruptcy? No, but the show would definitely get yanked at some point.
You think that if we said it, the show would get yanked? I'm willing to bet it wouldn't.
I don't think it'd get yanked overnight. I think at some point...
I'm willing to bet that it wouldn't get yanked.
Ever. Okay, sing Jordan a happy birthday. We'll see if this part gets yanked.
No, we're good.
Alright, moving...
There's no reason to take the risk in it.
Yeah, I know. Besides, it's much more fun to make fun of the absurdity that it's actually not allowed to be said legally.
But happy birthday, Jordan.
Thank you.
I hope you had fun playing D&D.
It was a lot of fun.
Alright.
Okay. Moving on to something that we actually all care about. We now have Netflix for Android, kind of.
Yes.
Is it, from what I've heard, it's not yet on the Droid X. I'm pretty sure it will come on the Droid X. I mean, that's a pretty major phone, and they advertise it as a media phone. So, and I don't think Motorola would have a problem with having specific DRM or whatever encryption that Netflix would require. So
no, it's like what is it? It's been like rolled out on 5 devices. It's been rolled out on
HTC.
Yeah.
If you update your Droid X to Gingerbread to one of the leaked versions, it's supposed to work.
Yeah. It basically.
I'm actually back on Froyo right now, so I can't test it. But that's just
no.
one of the things that they keep saying. I've got a Droid X running this version of Gingerbread.
Yeah. Well, one of the conditions is you have to be running Gingerbread. The Zoom obviously runs it. Is one.
The Zoom actually didn't, if I remember right.
I thought the Zoom had it.
I did not. Okay, let's check. Netflix Android.
Checking to see if the update has been released yet for the Droid X. I don't think it has, though.
Alright.
Your device is up to date. Balls.
It's on the HTC Incredible, the Nexus 1. Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. The Nexus 1 is still. Anyway, HTC Evo, HTC G2, and the Samsung Nexus S. I don't see anything more than that.
Okay, so it's just the Gingerbread phones right now. It's not yet on the. I thought it was coming with devices that were getting Honeycomb 3.1.2.
Well, they originally said that it was going to be on the devices with Qualcomm processors.
That would be interesting too. This is kind of a shallow victory because we've lost. There's like no way to get unmetered bandwidth. You know, we're running an experiment with Tiny. Tiny's been using his Netflix happily and merrily, and we're going to see what his bandwidth bill winds up being. I mean, he's got unmetered bandwidth, but I want to honestly know how many gigs of data Netflix winds up using on average on your phone. Because I have a feeling you're going to double your data usage easily.
I guarantee you this is less than the modern network could handle.
It's no, but the big question on this, obviously, is how long before somebody reverse engineers this to make Netflix for Linux? Because you know there's already somebody who's trying.
Well, I hope soon, or it could be just through the Dalvik VM that's available.
That's good enough. That's honestly good enough to make me happy. You know, download Alien Dalvik.
If it could work, well, it's Java, right? So it should be able to be fine. I would like to see that. I mean, I would be fine with Dalvik replacing Java. As I've understand it, Google has done a lot of things to improve on how Java works. Make it faster and smaller, and I'm all for that.
Well, no, and one of the things, like we talked about last week, supposedly one of the, I don't know if we actually talked about this in Linux or not, because y'all didn't watch I.O., but one of the things they were proposing was creating an API framework for it that would make it platform agnostic. So really it would be an improvement on Java in some ways, that it could be more platform agnostic than it already is, which would be great. Because, I mean, to really make Java truly platform agnostic right now, you do have to do tweak here, tweak there, tweak that, and every so often when something gets broke, it creates a mountain out of a molehill because you have to go redo all those tweaks. But no, that's funny. I thought you said your friend with the Nexus S didn't have it.
What?
Which phone did your friend have that they didn't get Netflix?
He has Verizon. It's a Galaxy. It's a fascinating. It's a Galaxy S.
Oh, the Galaxy S, not the Nexus S. Okay, the other S doesn't have it. I'm sorry. I'm like Nexus S not having it didn't make any sense to me because that's the other Google phone.
They're sending it to Seems. I don't know. It seems like they had to deal with HTC because a lot of HTC phones, and it also seems like they're sending it to the Nexus S and Nexus One because those are the developer phones.
Yeah, that was a debate being had at one point. How much longer is Google going to continue to update the very good, but they don't want to sell it anymore, Nexus One? You know, because it's like they keep rolling all these updates to it, but at some point, you know they're going to draw the line and go, all right, y'all, get rid of your really good Nexus Ones and move on to...
I was just saying, I think at one point they'll say, we have hardware requirements for this version, so anything before that won't work. I hate to see that, but it probably will end up happening.
Yeah.
Eventually, it won't be for long.
No, my personal guess is they're going to upgrade the Nexus One to Ice Cream, and then they'll do like the patch updates for Ice Cream, but that's probably where they're going to draw the line, because they'll have brought it up to what they're billing and selling as their, you know, unifying wrapper for Android that's blah 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 blah.
I gotta say, I'm looking forward to that because that's the kind of thing I've been talking about for a long time, hoping that they would do. You know, unifying it so that you have the same experience across the entire platform, close enough. I mean, it's not going to be 100% the same, otherwise it wouldn't matter which device you buy if you don't get it with Motobar, if you don't get it with HTC Sense. But you're still going to have the exact same experience other than a little bit of look and feel.
Right, and that I'm fine. I honestly think at a minimum they're going to update them to that, because if you cut it out of that, it's just then it's not that unifier. But as soon as they get it to that unifying level, I think they'll begin looking at abandoning it, because like, we brought it to here, now y'all need to come the rest of the way. Because it is at this point, I mean, it was a great device, but its specs are like bottom of the acceptable range by today's standards as going forward.
Which is to say it's pretty damn amazing that it still is in the acceptable range.
Yeah, it goes to show just how good a device it was.
Yeah,
because it's that old, it's discontinued, it's not sold anymore, yet it's still in the like bottom 10% to third of the acceptable range. That's like that's impressive. Yeah. What are we looking like? Oh, this. What do you thought? While we're on Android, I haven't actually read this yet. But
I have
AT&T.
no idea what that says.
No, not that. Another thing, the last story, the AT&T one. I'm gonna pull up the story and link it in real quick. Sorry, I didn't do that before we got started. But AT&T has apparently decided that they're not gonna lock all their Android devices. They're gonna actually let them be open, so they can access.
Do you mean side loading, or do you mean?
No, every Android device you bought that was an AT&T Android device, that option to install other apps, non-supported, it was locked out of their phones. They have now decided we shouldn't do this.
Well, especially now that Amazon has their own store.
Yeah, I think Amazon's what did it. It's like.
What do you guys think of Amazon? Do you think that's a threat? Because, as I understand, the only reason people can't completely do whatever they want with Android is because Google has their copyrights on Google Apps. And if you want to use Google Apps, then you have to do Android their way, or at least within their standards. If Amazon starts creating their own
marketplace and creating their own things for Android, and people can do whatever they want. They can completely fork it and place it on their phones and make it. They don't have to, they don't have to comply to standards. What would that mean if Google lost? Here's the honest thing. I see both happening. I see people trying to do what James is talking about and trying to fork it off and take it down its own merry little beaten way. And so we're gonna basically rip Android and act like it's ours and just build our whole little micro bubble universe on top of it and move forward. But you have to go through our micro universe. The problem is, but I also see people who go, great, I get access to everything Google, but I get to add to it too. And that's honestly of those two branches, that's the one I see succeeding, because one of the real strengths of Android right now is that Google Marketplace. Now, like James is saying, to deal with that Google Marketplace, you do have to deal with some red tape. There is almost an Apple-ish aspect to having to deal with Google there. But it's not so, it's more quality control red tape than it is lock you in, you can't do what you want to do. It's basically, as I understand it, the extent of the red tape there is, I'm sorry, but you can't stick the Slate OS on a phone. You can't do that, like and so on and so forth. To enforce using their own GPS service. Yeah, which is for Google's benefit. Honest, so there is a few things, but there are a few things like that, and for the most part, the default search is Google, but I don't know where that actually is in the terms of service and so on. Yeah, it does encourage Google services more seamlessly. I'm pretty sure Google would never force people to use a default search. I mean, Google doesn't want to look in any way like a monopoly, because I mean Microsoft, that's all they want. They want to sue Google for being a monopoly on the search bitches. So their Chrome browser asks you if you want to use Google. Basically, as of late, it's become gang up on Google, and I'm not saying some of that is unjustified. But all the people who are screaming game up on Google are the people who realize Google is quickly becoming their competition for their 20, 40, 50-year-old business models. And if they don't kill Google by making it illegal for them to compete with them, they're going to have to actually do something they haven't had to do in a long time, and that is actively compete, which is not good for them. Those are the people who are crying kill Google. The other people crying kill Google are people like Facebook and Zuckerberg who, want the whole internet to flow through them. But that's a different matter entirely. I don't know, Jordan. Do you think they'll fork on that? Do you think it'll tear Android apart? Do you think it'll build more on it?
The one place I do foresee them the one place I would see them having an issue where we don't have the market on this device, we're going to go all Amazon, would be on the non-official type devices, like the Chinese tablets, the really, really low-end tablets, some of them that I've purchased in the past that didn't come with the Android marketplace. Since you don't have to pay that licensing and follow their rules, let's just go ahead and go with
another marketplace or
yeah.
Someone else.
Sorry, I hope I didn't jump back there or something.
No, the audio got a little squishy for a little bit. But I think it largely came through. But see, that's the thing. Those are like the bottom of the bin Android devices, and I think the average consumer is getting smart enough that they understand, okay, this is the device made just to have something to sell me, and that's why it's cheap, and that's why I don't want to buy it. And this is the one that's like $50 more that is 10 times better and comes with all of this. I think the average consumer is spotting that now, or do you think I'm giving the average consumer more credit? I mean,
you're always giving the average consumer more credit.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the benefit is, for the most part, at least here stateside, most people don't want to stock those little cheap Chinese.
Although the average consumer does tend to ask people, but they themselves would not know.
Well, then see, that comes down to what the sales guy in the Best Buy or the Fry's or the Office Depot or so on and so forth be honest with them. And I find that's real hit or miss.
I mean, they would ask their friends, and hopefully one of those knows what they're talking about. That's what I mean.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I will say, I do have a coworker who, before she makes any sort of tech purchases, she does come to me and say, what do you think about this? What makes this special? Why should or shouldn't I buy this? So there are some consumers that are savvy enough to find somebody who has at least half a clue.
You know,
few and far between.
Yeah, that's like both a good thing and a bad thing. It's like, wow, I'm flattered that you actually think my opinion matters whatsoever. Then it's like, you know what? You don't use computers the same way I do. It's like, that's probably fine for you. It's like, the problem I always get in with people who ask me those questions is like, I know you hate this, but I'm like, no, I don't like it for me. That doesn't mean I hate it. It means I don't like it for me. That's,
that's part of the reason why when people start asking me about preferences as far as OS and Linux distro specifically, and desktop environment and applications, a lot of times I'll say, I use this. That does not mean that it's best for anybody else in particular. That's just what I use because that's what I prefer to use.
Okay.
Yeah, same sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, no, and at the end of the day, if anybody who's getting asked those questions, you should honestly step out of your shoes for a moment and think what the heck they're doing. Because the reality is, why I would never buy an e-machine for my personal computer. For the average end user, that little $300-400 e-machine at wherever is a good enough computer for them, and I haven't seen one of those yet that isn't fully Linux compatible too, so if they want to go Linux, they can do that too. So, again, not a system I'd buy, but for day-to-day, emails around, yada yada, not a bad machine. This is getting way off in tinfoil hat land,
yeah.
But everybody's 2 cents on that. Since last week, the RIAA, the copyright mafia got their thing against LimeWire, and this lawyer stood up and did grandstanding and said, well, people really aren't using P2P. They're using torrents and open source to pirate. It's an election year. We have Congress holding inquiries against Apple, Google, Microsoft, and everybody else over privacy concerns. They're not pointing the I kill you laser scope at the people they should be. They're just looking to rabble-rouse to get votes. Since this lawyer has stood up and said this, do we think there's going to be some kind of backlash against torrents and open source technology in the near future, or do you think they're at least smart enough to realize that that will also do nothing and will incredibly stifle innovation on all fronts?
A lot of times when it comes to politician, innovation is not a word they understand. As far as I understand, they understand money and they understand votes, but it's in terms of change, innovation, not sticking to what we already know and love. But yeah, a lot of them don't do that.
No, that's true. If we can have, what's his name that stood up and says, you know, the iPad's killing the publishers?
Jesse Jackson Jr.
Yeah, it's like it's the buggy whip man again. Dang it. What about you, James? 2 cents on that? You think it'll be backlash? Think it'll be overlooked? Hopefully, they weren't paying any. You know, that's.
So, Gavin, did he say people aren't really using peer-to-peer? They're using torrents and open source. Is that what you said?
Well, yeah. What he said was the settlement and basically win against LimeWire is a hollow victory because nobody's really using LimeWire. They're either using torrents or they're using the open source implementation of the LimeWire technology. So, you know, it basically, I know what...
Oh, I thought you said, okay, because you said nobody's using peer-to-peer, and I'm like, it's all peer-to-peer.
It's all, but it's like they're not using like a proprietary peer-to-peer like LimeWire. They're using the open source equivalent implementation if they are, and it's like I'm like I looked at that and I'm like, you idiot! Not only did you not put the fire out, but you've now steered it towards quintessential technology for the development of the internet. What the hell's the matter with you? You know, this was somebody who wanted their 15 minutes on the mic, and they didn't think about the damage their babble was going to do. Because, I mean, somebody who's really ignorant can take out of that is that, piracy is open source and torrents are what's responsible for piracy. They're bad. Like, no. There are people who choose to use them that way. Okay. Sounds like you don't really want to take a stance on that one way or the other. That's.
I'm not one to take stances on much of anything.